In West Africa, there was a village called Gbanja, home to the Fanti people. It was a peaceful, quiet place where life moved in harmony with nature. Gbanja was known for its fertile lands and lush forests. Every morning, the village woke up to the gentle sound of the river flowing through it. At first light, villagers would head out to the fields to work, and in the evenings, they'd gather by the river to perform their sacred rituals. Everyone in the village knew each other, and their belief in the gods kept them close. Their strength came from their deep connection to nature and to one another. But the most sacred place in the village was a lake. It wasn't just a water source, it was the spiritual heart of Gbanja. The lake was a symbol of the people's strength and peace. Surrounded by nature-loving villagers, the lake was considered blessed. Once every year, the spirit of Mamiwata, the water goddess, would rise from its depths, and the villagers would hold a grand ceremony to show their gratitude. At the heart of the lake was the light stone, a glowing crystal that symbolized the lake's sacred light. They believed anything that touched its water would be blessed with abundance. The lake was also a protector. Whenever the light shimmered in its depths, the people knew everything in the village was as it should be. Mamiwata's power guided them through every season of life. On the morning of every full moon, villagers would gather along the shore to witness the first light reflected on the lake. That light would shift from white to a silvery glow, dancing across the surface of the water. Its glow would stretch all the way to the rooftops, bringing peace and strength to every home it touched. The lake wasn't just a natural resource. To the people of Gbanja, it was a spiritual guide, a sacred bond. But then, one morning, everything changed. Instead of its usual glow, the lake reflected a dull green shadow. The once sparkling water had turned dark and murky. Gone was the silver shine they knew so well, replaced by something corrupted. The first to notice the change was a young hunter named Zola. Zola was known throughout the village, brave, intuitive, and deeply connected to the natural world. He could feel every subtle shift, every whisper of the wind. He could hear what others couldn't. So when Zola saw the lake that morning, he knew right away something was wrong. The lake wasn't just water, it was sacred. And the light stone, it was the village's guardian. Its glow was what kept their spiritual balance alive. Without that light, the harmony of the village would begin to fade. At first light, Zola set out to find the village's elder priest, Kwame. Kwame was the spiritual leader of Gbanja, the village's guide and keeper of sacred wisdom. He had spent his life in deep reverence for nature and the spirit world, preserving the old teachings and stories passed down through generations. As Zola told him about the darkened lake and the missing light, the concern on Kwame's face was impossible to miss. Kwame looked at him and said, "This isn't just some natural disaster. The loss of light means something is out of balance. Mamiwata's spirit may be testing the people. This isn't just a warning from nature. It's a trial." Zola nodded, troubled. "But why now?" he asked. "Why would this happen?" Kwame glanced up at the sky. The moon hadn't shone the night before, it was hidden in shadow. And now, the mornings that followed were starting to feel all the same. Zola could sense that the unrest in the village was growing just like the darkness in the lake. Kwame turned to him and said, "This trial may be a sign that something inside the village has broken. The spiritual bonds may be weakening. Mamiwata's power is tied to the soul of the people. If her light is fading, maybe it's a reflection of mistakes we've made, or truths we've ignored." Then he looked at Zola with quiet determination. "We need to go on a journey." Zola nodded firmly. "Yes, we must. There's something hidden in the depths of that lake, and we have to find it." Kwame's eyes were serious. "You must know this won't be easy. This journey won't just be physical. It will test your spirit. We may have to sacrifice something precious to bring the light back." Zola listened carefully. "I'm ready," he said. "My bond with nature will guide me. We have to reach the lake, I have to bring the light back." And so, Zola and Kwame decided to uncover the secret hidden in the lake's depths. But this journey would be more than a search, it would be a spiritual test. To restore the lake's light, they would have to face their inner darkness, rekindle the spiritual unity of their people, and unlock the ancient secrets held by nature itself. From the moment Zola and Kwame left the village of Gbanja, they weren't just beginning a physical journey. As they moved deeper into the heart of nature, they were stepping into a journey of inner discovery. With every step, the challenges they faced pulled them further into a deeper spiritual test. What had first seemed like a simple mission to uncover the lake's mystery was slowly revealing something more. To restore the light that once brought peace to their village, they would have to face the darkness within themselves. At first, everything felt normal. The early morning sun filtered gently through the trees. Rays of golden light danced across the forest floor, and the wind hummed soft, melodic tunes through the branches. It reminded Zola and Kwame of the peace they felt at the start of their journey. But as they continued forward, something began to shift. The silence of nature grew heavier. The shadows around them stretched longer. Even the wind, it didn't feel the same. Zola could sense a strange tension, a quiet unease creeping into every corner of the forest. Each day as they moved closer to the lake, the changes around them became more obvious. When night fell, the stars no longer sparkled the way they used to, and the moon looked pale, faint, almost distant. Then one morning, Zola's eyes caught it, the subtle changes hiding in every part of the forest. The birds weren't singing with the same joy. The animals had become harder to spot. There was a strange stillness in the air, and Zola could feel something beneath it all. This place is changing. Something's happening, he thought to himself. Kwame quietly stepped up beside him and said, "When nature speaks to us, we have to listen closely. It's not just an outer shift. There's a change happening within us too." Those words stirred something inside Zola. They made his unease grow stronger, and deep in his soul, he could feel it. The time had come to face the darkness within. In the early days of their journey, Zola and Kwame followed paths, winding between mountains and lakes. By morning, they were deep in the forest. By night, they would rest near the ruins of old temples or sacred stones. Though far from the village, those places brought Zola a strange sense of calm and peace. But the deeper they went, the more Zola felt that something wasn't right. The forest had grown denser. Night seemed to fall heavier than before. There was an emptiness, as if with every step, Zola was being pulled into something deeper. And as he and Kwame continued forward, even time itself began to feel strange. When Zola looked at the trees and sky, it felt like time was shifting, like he was slowly losing something inside himself. Then, one day, deep in the forest, Zola and Kwame came across a snake. But it wasn't just any snake, it felt like a symbol, carrying the spirit of Ogun. The snake's eyes locked onto Zola's, pulling him in, as if they were staring straight into his soul. And in that moment, Zola understood something. Nature is waiting for us to respond. As he stared into the snake's eyes, he felt a sudden surge of power, but also fear. As the snake slithered toward him, Zola could feel Ogun's strength rising all around him. He stepped back, and a voice inside whispered, "Ogun's power is about balance. You can't live in harmony with nature until you've faced the darkness within." When the snake finally disappeared into the forest, Zola knew something had shifted in his spirit. The snake wasn't just a symbol of nature's force, it was a mirror, asking him to face his inner fears and hidden shadows. Kwame looked at him and said, "Nature has given you a test, Zola. But remember, true strength is in keeping the balance." Zola etched those words into his heart. "I have to make peace with nature, and I have to face what's inside me," he whispered. One morning, as the sun was just rising, a fierce storm broke out. The wind shook the trees. The rain fell hard and fast. In the middle of the storm, Zola and Kwame were separated. For a moment, Zola felt completely cut off from the world around him. Thunder roared in his ears. Lightning cracked across the sky like giant glowing arms. Alone in the chaos, Zola could feel the wild force of nature in every part of his being. Ogun's power wasn't just out there anymore, it was alive in him. The storm wasn't only external, it was a spiritual test. To control the power of nature, he first had to confront his own inner storms. In the heart of the storm, Zola remembered a deep mistake from his past. A moment when he had betrayed a friend. He had carried that guilt with him, trying to forgive himself ever since. And now, in the fury of the storm, it was like nature was offering him a moment to make peace. Zola realized he had to make things right. There could be no peace outside until there was peace within. When the storm finally passed, Zola returned to Kwame, feeling lighter somehow, more still. Kwame saw the change in his face. "Did you feel the power in the storm?" he asked. Zola nodded, his eyes reflecting something new. "Yes," he said. "I faced my darkness. Nature showed me its strength, and now I feel stronger too." As they continued on, Zola and Kwame weren't just learning from nature, they were learning from each other. Every step made their bond deeper. Every challenge brought more understanding. Zola could feel nature's energy pulsing stronger with each passing day. His inner unrest was slowly turning into clarity. The journey wasn't just physical anymore. It had become a true transformation of the soul. One morning, they finally realized they were near the lake, but the darkness that surrounded it hadn't lifted. Zola and Kwame both knew they couldn't just heal the lake, they had to heal themselves too. Zola took a deep breath. I must make peace with nature, he thought, because only then can this darkness finally come to an end. Since the day they left Gabanja village, Zola and Kwame had faced all kinds of challenges both out in the world and deep within themselves. Their journey had become far more than a quest to reach a lake. With every step, they had traveled deeper into nature and into their own inner shadows. But finally, when they broke through the last of the strange barriers surrounding the lake, they realized just how close they truly were. The lake, shimmering with the presence of Mamiwata's power, held magic in every ripple, but its depths, they held one final test, and without passing it, there would be no return of the light. As Zola continued the journey, determined to make peace with the spirit of nature, he began to feel something inside shift. The closer he got to the lake, the more unrest he felt in his soul. He realized, was nature's final trial. It wasn't just about balance. It was about facing every fear he had carried through the journey. The guilt, the mistakes, the betrayal, the shadows that had followed him. And to truly align with nature, he had to face all of it. Not run, not hide, but make peace. One morning, as they drew near, Zola and Kwame stood just steps away from the lake, but it looked nothing like the glowing water they once knew. The surface was darker, deeper, heavier. The sky above it was dull, void of the silver light that once filled their hearts with hope. Mamiwata's energy was still there, but now it was clear they were being tested. Zola felt it in his bones. Something's missing, he thought. This place doesn't feel like itself anymore. Kwame stepped beside him and said, "This challenge, it's asking something of us. Nature always reveals the meaning within the trial. But this isn't just about harmony with the outside world. It's about letting go of what we carry inside. Before we cross that water, we must cleanse our spirits." Kwame's words hit Zola hard. The lake wasn't just a natural place anymore. It had become a mirror, a test of the soul. Zola slowly stepped toward the water, letting the cold rush up around his ankles. And then he felt it. The water wasn't just cold. It was resisting him. It was a barrier. Something was pulling at him. Not physically, but spiritually. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and listened. That's when he heard it, a voice rising from the depths. Mamiwata, speaking through the water itself. Zola, within your soul you must release the darkness of your past. Only when nature sees the true purity within you will it let you pass. This barrier cannot be broken by courage alone. Only by cleansing your spirit can you walk through. As Zola stood in the cold water, he began to remember every mistake, every betrayal, every guilt, every fear he had buried deep inside. There was a time when he had betrayed his village. He hadn't been honest with his people. He had hidden truths for his own gain. He had lost a friend not to time, but to ambition. His hunger for power had shattered that trust. There was no way he could move forward without making peace with that past. I can't forgive my past, Zola thought. But maybe forgiving isn't just about others. Maybe it's about setting myself free, too. And right then, a soft, unseen light began to rise from the depths of the lake. Mamiwata was sending a pure light, but she was also offering a choice. To reach the light, her voice echoed from below, you must first face your darkness. Your true power will only be given once you've made peace with your past. Let go of what weighs down your spirit, only then will the pure light meet you. Zola closed his eyes and took a deep breath. I have to find inner peace, he whispered. I have to release the weight of my past. Those words weren't just thoughts, they were a path, a way to harmony, a way to finally become one with nature. He no longer needed to hold on to guilt, he had to step into his strength instead. He opened his eyes and took one more step into the water. Mamiwata's light, now golden and bright, began to rise from the depths of the lake. Zola could feel it. This wasn't just light. It was the symbol of nature's grace and spiritual purity. The weight of his past, the fears, the guilt, they all melted away. True light, he now knew, comes only through forgiveness and finding peace within. Kwame had been watching quietly. He smiled and said, real strength comes through forgiveness. You've found peace, Zola. Your journey wasn't just through nature, it was through your soul. As Zola moved deeper into the lake, he realized something important. He wasn't just a traveler anymore, he was now a spiritual seeker. Mamiwata's light rose around him, spreading across the surface of the water, wrapping him in clarity and strength. Reaching the true light was only the beginning. Now, Zola knew what it meant to live in harmony with nature, to let go of the darkness inside, to forgive the past, to find peace in the soul. And in that moment, the waters of the lake shimmered with brilliance as Mamiwata's spirit light spread across the land. Zola and Kwame had brought the true light back from the depths. Mamiwata's power wrapped around both of them, Zola and Kwame, like a spell woven from nature, light, and inner peace. It didn't feel like magic in the way stories usually tell it. It felt real, like something born from deep respect and healing. When Zola stepped back into the water, leaving behind the shadows of his past, he felt a chill rush up his spine, but the water wasn't the same. It was deeper now, wiser, more accepting. With each step forward, Zola felt himself moving closer to something ancient and sacred. His fears, his guilt, the heavy weight of everything he'd been carrying, they started to slip away. This water, it welcomed him. Mamiwata's power only recognized spirits who had become pure through truth and surrender. Zola was beginning to understand that true reverence for nature meant letting go of pride, of fear, of the past. Kwame noticed the change in Zola's face. He walked over and said softly, "Every step you've taken has made you stronger. Now, you've found your inner light." Those words stayed with Zola. They gave him something he hadn't fully felt in a long time: confidence and peace. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, feeling calm settle inside him like a warm flame. As Mamiwata's power flowed into him, Zola let go of everything he'd been holding on to. There was no yesterday, only this moment and the future, now connected with the spirit of nature. This journey had become so much more than a physical test. It was a complete cleansing of the soul. To reach the light, Zola thought, I had to let go of the weight I carried. I faced my darkness and chose to walk with the strength of nature instead. Right then, a brilliant light rose from the depths of the lake, wrapping around Zola like a second skin. It didn't just shine, it glowed from within him, like a star lighting up every cell in his body. And Mamiwata's voice echoed from the deep. True light only shines in a heart that is clear. This is the pure power of nature. In that moment, Zola felt a transformation begin. Everything around him shifted: the lake, the trees, the very air. It was as if the lake itself was being reborn through the strength of the earth. And Zola was no longer separate from it. He was one with nature, and he was one with the light he had found inside himself. But Zola's journey wasn't over yet. Mamiwata offered him one final test. True power, she said, only rises when you forgive both yourself and others. Every step forward is a step from the past into the future. Real light shines only when you become one with peace, with others, with everything. Your true strength is the purity within you. Zola realized before he could fully reach the light, there was still one more step he had to take. The darkness inside him wasn't just tied to his past. It had rippled through his connection to his village, his friends, and to humanity itself. This final test wasn't only about his own transformation. It was about the spirit of his entire community. He was ready to forgive the mistakes, the betrayals, the pain. And as he accepted the strength of nature as a light within himself, his bond with his people and with all of humanity began to heal. Zola turned his gaze toward the surface of the lake and gently placed his hands in the water. Suddenly, a soft glowing light rose from the depths and echoed inside his heart. True strength comes through forgiveness and peace within, Mamiwata's voice whispered. Share your light, Zola. This is not the end of your journey, it's the beginning. Kwame stood beside him, watching Zola with quiet pride. He had changed. Zola was no longer just a traveler. He had become a leader, a soul who had made peace with nature. Kwame smiled. The true light has become one with your spirit. Now, it's time to return to your people. Your journey will inspire others. Zola nodded, his heart full of calm. Yes, he thought, this light is meant to be shared. With the light inside him and nature all around him, Zola made his decision to return to Kabanja. Mamiwata's power had helped him find peace within. Now, he needed to share that light, that peace, that spirit with his people. He would no longer walk toward the shadows of the past, but toward the brightness of what's to come. This journey had transformed them both. Zola had made peace with nature and found the true light, and Kwame had guided him through every step, walking beside him through the storm and into clarity. But Zola's story didn't end there, because nature's power was never meant for just one person. It was a force meant to awaken the spirit of an entire community. Zola would carry this light back to his village, to his people, to the land itself. He would bring strength and peace to the world by simply being one with the light inside him. And so, Zola had found the true light. He had become one with nature, and within his own soul he had finally found peace. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay connected.